Should I talk about my first ever NFT?
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. You've jumped in.
Yeah, I jumped in, and I hesitated partially because, as you know, since you're responsible for sort of pulling my attention, yeah, I've been tracking this stuff for a while, right? And thankfully, you got me off my ass because you're like, hey, I'm going to be doing this thing. Don't tell anybody. Now we can talk about it. It's going to be called Grails. And do you want to be part of it? And do you want to explain just very briefly what Grails was, what it is, and then I can hop into it?
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that are listening that have no interest in NFTs or read the headlines out there, rest assured that I can tell you that I, too, being so deep in NFTs, believe that there's a lot of hype in the sector. Like there's a lot of anyone armed with Photoshop right now can publish an NFT to the blockchain. And that means that there's going to be a lot to kind of like sort through and sift through to find the gems. But as an underlying fundamental technology, it is a sound one. And that there's proven scarcity, there's durability of the asset, meaning it doesn't degrade with time. You can transfer it. I mean, there's a bunch of great things about it that it will be around forever. I have no doubt. Now, that said, there was a lot of hype going on into the world of NFTs here, and there still is, 6 or so months ago. And I thought to myself, like, let's create an NFT project and call it Grails. And the reason it was called Grails, it was Indiana Jones and, the Holy Grail, where he has to choose that cup, that very famous episode there, I'll choose wisely. And if you choose the wrong one, you turned and shriveled up and died, right? So the thinking there was that so much attention at that time was on flipping NFTs. Oh, I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to buy it for $5,000, sell it for $100,
Also, I'm just going to interject for a second. Also, some people refer to what they might consider like the blue chip NFTs as Grail NFTs. There's also that use of the word. Yeah. Continue.
That's right. Yeah. So the thinking there was, okay, let's put the emphasis back on the art and allow people to look and consider each individual piece. And then they have to make a decision. So 20 artists, 20 anonymous artists, all up on the site. As a member of my little group called the Proof Collective, you got to choose one. So you could go in there and just pick one that you wanted. And then we would do the grand reveal. And so afterwards, we would reveal who the artists were. 100% of the sale of the NFT and the royalties went directly to the artist. So I did not profit at all. And you were kind enough to say, I'm going to be one of those artists that people have to guess if it's me or not.
Yeah. So there are 20, basically imagine you go to a website. There are 20 thumbnails of different types of artwork. Most, if not all, artists who are established did something that was sort of non-identifiable, right? They did something, a lot of them did something completely different stylistically so that you wouldn't know it was them. And then people were guessing, right? So there's a lot of speculation in various discords and so on about who might be the artist behind which piece. And when you initially offered it to me, and I'll skip to the punchline real quickly. If people want to see this, what the output was, they can go to tim.blog/NFT and I'll just forward to a page on OpenSea where you can see what this looks like. But I bounced around a whole bunch of ideas and then I realized, wait a second, about a year ago, a bit over a year ago, I wrote a short story and I've never published fiction anywhere. So I've never had a fiction blog post that I can remember. I've never published any fiction in book form. I've never had a magazine article that was fiction. And I decided to take that, which was about, I'm going to say 1,400 words. And the name of the piece is How to Start a War. I'll come back to why it's called that, because this was written, keep in mind, more than a year ago. So it has nothing to do with the current conflict, but How to Start a War. It's 1,400 or so words, and decided to make that the background of this piece and then to layer images on top of it. So ended up thinking on my own and then along with this designer, Lisa Quine, about how to create something that would actually make a nice, say, poster in a frame on a wall or a print. And I needed some parameters. I needed some constraints. So I was like, okay, let me not like blue sky this totally. It has to look decent on a wall if someone put this up on a wall. Mm-hmm. And It's called How to Start a War because it is based on a real experience I had, which I'll let people read the piece who want to read the piece. So the only place you can find this first published fiction piece by me is as this NFT. That's the only place you can find it. And it's an easy read, but the way it starts is with someone handing me a business card and saying, if you want to start a war, call me. And then it's like the whole thing goes down a pretty deep rabbit hole. And most of it is a composite, but true to life, which made it pretty easy to write. And that's it. I mean, that's how it started. And it's been really a fun experience for me. So thank you, Kevin, for getting me off my ass. All the proceeds from this NFT go to my foundation. So they'll end up funding scientific research and other initiatives related to primarily mental health, possibly longevity and life extension or health span extension, but predominantly mental health. And I feel really good about it. So it's been a fun little experiment and a chance to also kind of understand how some of the plumbing works. You know what I mean? It's like if you want to, like there's a point, you can only read so many books about like playing soccer and then you got to get out there and actually kick a ball around, right? Like you're not going to really have a feel for it until you start screwing around with the actual mechanics and plumbing and having to do things.
And you've had some good success, man. One sold for 15 ETH, which is current prices is around 50K. You know, you've had a bunch of good secondary sales.
Yeah.
People were pretty pumped.
Yeah. And it was fun to also have the reveal, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people minted and, ultimately I hope that there will be some durable value because it's not only my first NFT, but it's my first published fiction piece. So you kind of get a 2 for 1. So we'll see.